Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Play Come-du-Mont Beyond Overlord. So let's get on with the operation side of things. And I'm going to play Carentan and Allied Assault, the second version. So it's June 8th, 1944. I guess that's like 2 days after D-Day. And 9 battles, 20 turns each. It's another large operation, long operation. And as you can see, this is a huge scenario. And it says that calculations will take a lot of time for the computer, but in modern computers, it doesn't take a whole lot. So to rest assured, you don't have to bring a book to read. Although maybe it'd be nice to read about Carentan and what happened there, because it's a multi-part operation that's really involved in one of the most important operations that the United States took in the early days of the D-Day or Operation Overlord. So the strategic situation is thus: the end of D-Day has seen the U.S. forces arrive on shore, and they need to link up two beaches because they need to consolidate these two groups of fighting men in order to consolidate the area and then push the Germans out of the Normandy region. And you are to push ahead and toward Carentan, which is a transportation hub with a lot of roads leading to the rest of the region. And you have glider company, parachute company, tank platoon, and scout car. Also, you can expect reinforcement from the 29th and other follow-on forces. So we are going to lead the way to Carentan and also clear the clear Germans on the way to Carentan. Yeah. Let's go. And this is a set of phase. It's a huge map. It's even bigger than the last one, Canadian Armageddon. Interestingly, it's a Bocage country, and I'm not so happy about that. But there's some areas we can hide, unlike the last scenario where there's huge swath of French wheat that we need to cross and suffer as a result. But here we can hide and in the tall pines and brushes, and as you can see, Bocage, hedgerows. And this is the left group. I think it's the group that is arriving from the Omaha beach shore or beachhead. And the road, I think this is road is leading to the same Come-du-Mont, and that is the area where I suspect some Germans possibly. That's a road that leads to another town in the area. And this is the I guess the group that is arriving from the Utah beachhead. And the highway crosses into this small village called Saint Come-du-Mont, which is our objective. And this is where also our two groups will meet if all things go well. Yeah, so this is a really long road with Bocage striding it, and it's going to funnel us into one area in well-paved open road, which I believe to be rather inconvenience because the Germans have a pretty good line of sight there. Yeah, so capture Saint Come-du-Mont, I think that's Saint, and all the bridges over Douvres and Canal de Carentan. We don't see any body of water, so I guess that comes later. Yeah, so this is I think the larger group of the two. And we are like 1.5 kilometers apart. I think that's a bit less than a mile for the Americans. Yeah, it's pretty long distance they have to cover. The left group, as you can see here, is closer to our objective. There's some shrubs alongside the road, alongside the highway, so we can make use of that certainly. And checking out some of the infantry and troops. They're pretty high experienced guys. There's no green troops here. They're best of the bunch that is leading the charge, so to speak. And you have a pretty good balanced group of guys with with tanks and infantry and machine guns and the infantry riding on the tanks. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting sight. Probably need to get off in the first turn. And HQ guys, HQ units are very, very good. It's one of the best I've seen, with 2 or 3 attributes of high morale and stealth. It's a very highly experienced and effective group. And I think it also applies the same to the group here. Thinking about ways to advance through this long road. And there can be a number of areas where it can take cover, such as these tall pines. Although the tanks might not be as lucky because they have to cross the road with long line of sight. That's good, but there might be some German guns hiding there too, so yeah, we need to be very careful there. Just like in the right, yeah, they're pretty well balanced with some regular experienced troops, so I guess there's some veterans as well. And there's spotter, 75mm artillery spotter. So it's a really welcome sight. Once again, infantry riding on the tank. I think the ride is going to be very short-lived. It's a huge map. I'm using the lowest zoom. Yeah, that is saying Come-du-Mont. And those areas, I don't know whether the Germans will be entrenching there as well. I mean, if they have a line of sight toward the road, yeah, like this, then certainly they will be stationed there and with machine guns and all the nasties. Yes. Full of areas where the ambush could happen, and also areas where we can take cover during our advance. And here is the deployment. I basically stacked everybody to the edge of the deployment zone, as you can see. I'm trying to play around with the enlargement of unit representation on marker and trying to reach a good balance, but I think this is a bit too small right now. Yeah, I think this is a bit too small, but I guess I go along with it. So checking out the line of sight, it's a pretty good line of sight. It's just a through way that you can see into the town. So it's going to be the same for the Germans, so need to be watching out and be careful. Yeah, I make a lot of mistakes here, as you will see. I put one group to take another pathway into the town, yeah, through the area lined with bocage. And there seems to be two types of bocage, one that is lower and one that is, well, higher. I guess the lower one is called hedgerow. And here I have placed all the infantry into the tall pines to get better protected. And I don't know what to do with the tank. Maybe I've decided to move them a bit forward. Yeah, kind of tense because there might be some Germans hiding the bocage, and you might trigger the ambush. Yeah, so let's just go and activate turn 1. The weather's pretty nice, clear, and it's day. And you'll be able to see some units here if they decide to move on the road or cross the road and whatnot. Yeah, so this is just before I start out, moving generally into the road using the overhead map. Yeah, I try to zoom in so that you'll be able to better see what I have planned. As you can see here, just moving along the road, but I'm not moving the tanks yet. So moving along the road, but within the cover, under the cover of tall pines, and rotating some of the machine guns toward the area where I suspect the Germans to come from or waiting us. The tanks I'm not moving because they can definitely see long distances. No need to go ahead and trigger some German gun. And here, moving, yeah, pretty aggressively. This whole load of troops are moving from the first turn. I guess I should have designated some scouts and then move ahead. Just piecemeal, at least in the beginning few turns. Yeah, these are the areas where I believe Germans will be entrenching, and also I want to time our advance together so that we arrive at Come-du-Mont at the same time. So I think that moving the group on the left first, while these guys arrive at their destination and wait, is going to work out and then allow us to arrive at our objective at the same time to apply maximum pressure. That was my initial plan. So move these guys ahead while the mile apart and the other group is going to sort of open the way for the I think these groups. Playing with the representation once again. Yeah, I think this is the one that I played around with in the last operation. They're huge. They're basically eclipsing some trees here. But they're 10 feet monsters. Yeah, this is more normal. They're moving under the cover of the pines. And you can hear some planes in the air. I don't know whether that is Luftwaffe or the USAF or the Hurricanes from the Royal Air Force.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so tanks here do not move as well. They just want to wait and see what happens. The first turn is over, just like that. And the second turn as well, we are continuing our advance. Yeah, no changes so far. The machine guns, yeah, looking whether the line of sight is proper. It seems that we have to cover the troops as they move ahead through the pines. But I decided to move some of these guys forward because there are other guys waiting or other guys stationed behind them. Tank's not moving once again. We have a bevy of machine guns as well. The 50 cal ones, I think the ones that are attached also to the Shermans have better range than the, what do you call it, 19, well, some heavy machine guns that the Americans have. So HMG, I think it's called 19 something, I'm not so sure, but yeah. There are two types of machine guns. Once again we move on ahead. Yeah, we need to get off the road. These guys.
Move them out. Go! Keep moving. Let's go.
These guys really need to get off the road.
Move it. Okay, Sergeant.
Okay, Sergeant. Move off the road, guys. Maybe I didn't give them order, or I just gave them an order that is that makes them walk on the road obliquely or something. This is the rough patch where they didn't cross, and same here as well. Tall pines.
Hustle up.
And you can definitely hear something in the air. Yeah, and then first strike from the air. They suspect there's something hiding there, so yeah, I appreciate it because it is acting a bit of a scout. You can definitely see what's up in the road ahead, yeah, around that area, so I get a bit spooked. And as you can see, I make the necessary adjustment, reflecting my change of direction here. As you can see, I decide to move into the Bocage and move on to this area. Yeah, don't be so surprised. I don't know why I made that decision, because I got scared. That's it. And I also decided to move the tanks to support that other weird direction I'm taking. Yeah, kind of threading the needle and getting through this maze of Bocage into the open field. I mean, it's a higher ground, so I'll be able to better see what's up ahead, and you're not limited by the Bocage if you move into that area. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a long time. It's a detour. So here, I'm moving into the main road, trying to advance just like the last time, and I see somebody, yeah, crossing the road, as you can see. So didn't really need to move the tanks from where it started. I see somebody crossing the road. They're escaping from the last airstrike, and the mortar team got shot they lost 2 troops already. And once again, the strafing is continuing in the air. Yeah, so it's really picking up, and I suspect this guy to be the sniper that killed off the mortar, and it just ripped through the guy. Like one shot, I think, took away 2 guys, and the second shot finished him off, and it was initially a 5-man group. So these 2 shots were, I think there may have been more shots or something, but I think from what I understand, they were destroyed in 2 shots. Maybe they just fell on top of the mortar or something. And we see the first German defender. Yeah, I was really angry because I should have made him come a bit later in a delayed action, delayed movement, and should have sent the Scotch first and then see what's up on ahead before moving the heavy weapons guys. Yeah, I was pretty angry, and I had a Scott card too. Yeah, my tendency to save up and preserve the armor really cost that turn in terms of casualty. And this group is still moving forward using the splotches of cover on the way. And here we are, one group is moving straight toward the Bocage, and the tank is trying to make a huge detour, reversing even in order to link up with the rest of the infantry supposed to support. 4th turn begins in earnest in here as our troops are locked in battle.
Get moving!
Yeah, they're exhorting the troops to keep moving, and that's what we should be doing at all times. And some of the infantry tries to move into the Bocage to outflank them, just 1 unit. And this tank is, we also move back, find open space before they can move in different direction, move away from the road. And I hear some screams as well. Once again, I think the sniper that killed off that mortar is still finding a lot of targets there in the right side. This is the left side. We are moving, yeah, pretty briskly thanks to their experience. This is on the right side, the sprinter group that I'm sending on the other road to St. Come-du-Mont. They made their way into some good positions, and the machine guns and everything is now trying to find their target, but unfortunately the Germans have started up their artillery, and I think it's more than one artillery spotter that is doing this deed right now, making us pay dearly. Yeah, basically this is what do you call it, shooting fish in a battle. We are like lined up really neatly for the Germans to do a not carpet bombing, but then sort of a staggered bombing, and just sweep across the road in order to find all the targets with the artillery spotting. So we are in trouble on the right side, and you will see the direct result of us stuck between Bocage and the German artillery shells bursting in the air. Yeah, we made a pretty good progress there into the Bocage. Tanks really need to step up, but I'm not going to move them in a hurry, of course. They have a pretty good range still. Here we are in trouble. We are not really moving at all. We are trying to use our artillery spotter caught in the artillery barrage to guess where the artillery spotter might be and then targeting on our own, but it's gonna take 2 minutes and we need to endure 2 minutes of pure hell. And everybody is in danger. I don't know why everything is going haywire. There, I think, the mortar is doing all it can to target whoever is in front of them, but they're being, everybody is in cover, they're not doing anything, and I don't know why I still made an infantry be on the top of the tank, not under it. Yeah, so I think that is maybe HQ unit or mortar crew has been knocked out from the artillery. barrage, and as you can see, it's being knocked out. It's in panic, routed. And I guess, yeah, it's really concentrated and very close fire, like close to each other. They exactly know where you are, and it's basically caught red-handed, trying to cross that road. And here in Beery, I think we should have sent a scout or two just to see what's up on ahead and diverted all our forces toward the right. But yeah, a lot of screams, and even the armor is in danger because they're stuck. The scout car in front of it. On the right side, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just trying to take cover and move anybody who's being shell-shocked out of cover into cover. Yeah, we are basically, well, throw caution to the wind and said, you know, F it, you're just moving into Bocage, who cares? I'm just not really having it anymore, trying to, yeah, scouting time is over. It is time to suffer the consequences of me not scouting and trying to survive, yeah, this untenable situation. And I don't know why the infantry is still up on the tank. I think I gave an order to clamber off. Maybe I expected them to do it. Yeah, they did clamber off. I expected them to do it automatically. I don't know, I'm maybe asking a bit too much. I should have made sure that they were safely out of the way of this continuing barrage that is just sweeping us. And I guess, you know, shells falling onto this paved road really makes it worse for the Americans. Yeah, another mortar knocked out. I think that's the second or third one already. And oh my goodness, Luftwaffe is also trying to strafe us. Or is it maybe they couldn't believe that we are being on the end of the German assault guns, and they're strafing us, the Allies, because they thought that we are Germans or something. But yeah, Luftwaffe, I think that is Luftwaffe, is also joining in the action of making things very deplorable for our forces. I think this is probably the work of two spotters, two artilleries, just hurling their all the pent-up rage against us. Yeah, as they try to cross the last quarter mile into the objective. Yeah, we're very shaken. We lost like half men there in the veteran unit, so we suffered like 30% of casualty already on that road, which I call like Purple Heart Road or Purple Heart Lane. There's actually a road or place where the Americans suffered a lot. I don't know whether from the artillery shells, but yeah, it's called Purple Heart Road or something because they have lost like so many men trying to cross into the region and into Carentan. And the Band of Brothers, which is a really good miniseries by HBO covering this 101st Airborne, has an episode dedicated to Carentan operation and operations in the area, like Battle of the Gulch, Bloody Gulch. It shows a lot of, shows the might of the German artillery just raking the troops left and right. And yet they also do that when the troops are in the vicinity of the town. And I think it does really do make a difference. Like, I guess in the dirt where the artillery shells land, there's more dirt that absorbs that energy and power. But if it lands on like this paved road, which is quite well without any kind of dirt or any element that can push on it, then the energy just goes all over the place along with the shrapnel, and it damages the troops fairly, definitely better. So yeah. Alright, so they have arrived at the opening on the Bocage, as you can see. The Bocage with the another unit is lost, I think. Luckily, the spotter has not suffered any damage along with the vehicle so far, but I think the vehicle lost, especially the scout car, lost one man. The guy who was poking his head out. He got hit. So I cannot shoot anymore using the scout car. I hit a machine gun, but not anymore. Yeah, reaching the opening, as you can see, with the new smaller graphics for the soldiers, you can see how high the bocage is. And it's the second largest unit marker. Yeah, the artillery shells just falling, just going crazy once again. As you can see, just, you know, I'm saving up my artillery, but I'm regretting the decision of not answering back immediately. And I do believe that the Germans have set up some target requisition area where they can more accurately deliver their load. So I think they put one, you know, that smack in the middle of the road where we are traversing, and then the result was that we got a concentrated fire that was accurately delivered to a great effect, to the detriment of our troops even before facing the bulk of the German defenders entrenching in Carentan. And yeah, the continuation of this silly plan of me trying to, I don't know, outflank the Germans, be lying in wait alongside that road. I'm not so sure how that's going to work out. Though still believing that Germans will basically not waste, but well, I guess you do expect now, or still in waiting position, that is expecting the last of the German artillery to last their positions. They basically unloaded everything that they had here. This guy really served as a bit of a shield, I think. I mean, I don't know whether I made the right decision splintering off this force right here as they move into the opening of the town, the road leading into Come-du-Mont, but I guess that was the right decision. I'm not trying to cram as many infantry as possible in this this area. And yeah, this is pretty good because it's a clear day and air attacks are active, something that we didn't see in the last operation. One thing that it tells me is where the Germans may be located, that's where probably I will direct my artillery towards. And finally we get rid of the German defender there in the foxhole on the side of the road. So turn 9, already at the halfway position. So we suffered a lot of casualties. We got our nose bloodied because the Germans hauled every artillery resources they had against us, and the tank is now trying to support our guys as best as possible, but it's off the road. Yeah. So its line of sight is rather limited. Here we are in the opening to advance toward the center of the town. And once again, this is just a continuing action, trying to thread through the bocage and go into the open field, which I feel whether I don't feel really good about it because we are going to be exposed on the open field as we cross that area into the brush. So I expect the German artillery has ceased and moving a bit forward. Miraculously, all the HQ units survived, like they're unscathed. So they can still provide some leadership and get the troops in order. Yeah, so they're pretty good about listening to orders, despite what happened in the last few turns where very bad things happened, obviously. This guy leading the charge. Well, not really a charge, but leading the sneak. This is the splinter group. Yeah, with the machine guns and everything, it should be turned a bit toward the left, but yeah, there's another defender across the road. Yeah, we definitely saw them. Yeah, our artillery is now responding. It's a big gun, it's 105mm, I think naval gun or something, so there's some interval between the strikes. But it leaves a larger crater, so it's more powerful. It should be targeting the road or something, with my theory about the artillery efficiency or effectiveness is true. That harder surfaces making archery more effective. Yeah, so we are advancing. We saw next group of defenders, and also continuing our movement into the Bocage area, away from the road. Trying to link up as fast as possible, drawing a direct line between these guys and the other guys. So let's see what happens. So US artillery is still still active. And I have another spotter here, traveling toward the open area. Tank is following, but he's kind of, kind of lagging behind. Yeah, we are moving ever closer to the town. A bunch of these guys now in the open field, vulnerable, and that was our artillery landing a bit too close to our guys, and I think I suffered as a result. Lost one guy from our unit. Yeah, it's not really accurate. I don't have a visual lead. This guy has visual lead, so the Germans now in the building, and there's not the German mortar strike. That was our tank trying to shoot at the German defender. Yeah, as you can see, the tank started shooting. Left it a bit behind. I think I made the right decision, but I should really get the infantry on top of it off and then move them as well. So we are attacking the center of the town, which is exposed to us in the clear day. And we continue our progress along with the artillery, big artillery that is striking in the direct center of the town. I feel sorry for the any civilians that might have been caught within, because this artillery is very, very powerful, as you soon see. I don't know about its effectiveness against infantry per se, but against wooden structures, yeah, it does a huge amount of damage. Yeah, so we are sneaking into the town, but I don't know whether that is actually needed. We can just move on ahead because everybody knows that we are there. The artillery spotters definitely knew that we are there. Just like this, we are moving forward in this section. No need to sneak. And yeah, this is what I think is going to be the pathway toward the town if we are to reach the high position in the center of the Bocage area. Yeah, so we are engaged with one German defender, but there may be more coming. These veteran units, so they're pretty effective, at least in targeting and identifying units. They may be hiding the buildings and whatnot. And here I think the Germans opened a bit too early, they got antsy. I should have waited a bit before we opened up with their machine guns and whatnot. And we can also hear our mortars trying to target the building. All the adding up to trying to get these guys out. The tank is shooting high explosive shots. Obviously the building shields them from the full effect. The artillery is also landing, and these guys crossing the road once again. I don't know what their idea is. Yeah, they're in the direct pathway of the tank now, line of sight of the tank. So we are attacking them on both sides. We're putting the pressure on them with everything that we got. Yeah, definitely the sound is impressive on that gun. I don't know how much damage it might have caused. But then, yeah, the first few turns I definitely got the front row seat experience of how effective artillery could be and how damaging it can be. And I'm trying to look on the bright side of things and consider lucky that we didn't lose any HQ units and artillery spotter, for that matter. We lost a bunch of mortars though. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I really suck at using mortars, so I guess that's a bit of a silver lining. I don't know. I wonder also if I lose some men from the mortar team, then the mortar is going to be more, well, less effective, or it's going to take them more time in adjusting to the new target, or let alone delivering accurate shot. But I think they had like 39 mortar rounds, and I lost like all of them, 3 of them from the very beginning, the first few turns. So I think I lost around 100 mortar rounds that I could use against the Germans, which is, you know, even though I suck at using mortars, pretty disastrous if you think about how well they could have worked against these Germans on the open road or paved road. Artillery is still smacking the Germans around in the building. It doesn't really seem that impressive because of the intervals in between. It allows the Germans to get away from the artillery strike, the general range of the artillery strike. So I should have used the other artillery guy at the same time. So one artillery to blast these guys into one area, and oh my goodness. Yeah, this is the power of the artillery, and I found a gun. The gun rattled itself into view because of the artillery strike was so powerful. And then, yeah, that's another problem on our hands, because they may be able to see our tank, that gun. Yeah. Here, finally, I think I did this before, but this is the first time I feel the need to, yeah, shoot. I see the Germans escaping from our artillery range, initial strikes, and I decide to use the other artillery spotter, even though he's moving, to spot that area where the Germans seem to be running towards. Out of sight, but I can move a bit closer, definitely. I'm worried though, I may be taking another gamble here, because the gun might be able to see me, this tank, as I can see it. Yeah, we are in heavy battle now. I lost another guy from that plastic gun shooting a high explosive shell. Yeah, so we are losing a lot of troops left and right. I don't know, I cannot really imagine how much reinforcement they're gonna send. Tank is trying to make its way toward Bocage. There's no Germans hiding, but who knows. There's some Panzer Shreks hiding behind our lines. And in terms of lines, I don't really know like whether this should be what I'm doing in terms of concentrating our forces, because there are other areas in this huge map that Germans might be entrenching and basing their operation out of. We are shooting them really, really hard. We are basically pouring our shots into them. And you can see the Germans are in each of these houses in the center. Yeah, once again crossing the road. Yeah, look at the amount of fire. German tracer is a bit darker, it's a bit orange color. And this is a machine gun that is trying to fire at our other group, and then the tank has noticed it. So he might be able to, yeah, suppress it in the next turn. Yeah, a lot of red lines means heavy battle unfolding in the center of the town, saying Come-du-Mont. I don't know why they call it Mont, because I don't see any mountains nearby. Maybe it's a different. I'm sorry, I'm not good in French. Alright, so I think the 105mm artillery is still has a few rounds left, a few shells. Hope that I could coordinate the artillery barrage with the other guy, but it may not happen. Next time I try to do it. Yeah, the artillery tank is actually firing into the infantry defender. That guy is out in the open. Should move into the brush or some cover. And here once again the tank is trying to aim at the machine gun, but it's not really having a whole lot of result. And here on the left side as well, we found some guys hiding alongside the road. So there are some ambushes. Yeah, there are some ambushes that targeted any of the units that would have been badly off if we travel along the road. Here, this guy, I think that guy was blasted off his house, but now going back to maybe find his some keepsake or something, or the French wine that he had an eye on. Alright, yeah, so we are still moving. We're still moving and trying to cover this group that are moving toward the German fire. And this machine gun is also being targeted, yeah. Not really accurately so, but yeah, some guy hurt his leg, unfortunately, so he's out of the battle on the Purple Heart. Yeah, so we are moving now on the left side as well, trying to make use of the island of covers, or islands of cover. Yeah, so still continuing here to battle the Germans and wait for the artillery shells to shake them up from their defending areas and entrenched positions. Yeah, so tanks have finally made it through the Bocage. Now they're in the open field, and seeing as I have not been fired upon by the Germans as I crossed that area, I think the tanks can also move across it fairly well without fear of being engaged by the Germans, like their guns, for example. Yeah, these guys are now moving, and I have identified some Germans hiding in ambush along the road, so I guess it was a good idea. Well, I mean, I could say it's a good idea in retrospect that I saved up these guys from the ambush, but that means that more Germans will be active in the next turn, which is probably bad for us, depending on the reinforcements that we get. Yeah, the machine gun is still blasting us, scraping us, and we are basically moving, but more or less a standstill. I don't think we're going to move any farther. And here this guy heading up, and yeah, I made the decision pretty simple for him. One was running toward the explosion, one was running out of it, but nobody got, I don't think anybody got hurt from the explosion. So some nice explosive proof, I guess helmet or something they're wearing. Yeah, the tank's still firing to the machine gun at that. This guy is running toward the church to confess his last sins, but was gunned down, unfortunately. Yeah, so we are kind of... Yeah, so on the right side we are kind of stuck. We are engaged, just shooting, and then we are finding enough targets to stand where we are and still keep pouring our shots in. Also waiting for the artillery, the 75 artillery, to get active. But I think it takes around 3 minutes for it to start. Tank is trying to find some targets. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't continue to use its gun. I stopped, so I had to make sure that there's some active targeting going on from the only heavy weaponry that we have now that we lost all the mortars. Yeah, so tank is making its way toward the cover. And yeah, we are trying to engage the Germans. I think that's the last thing that we are going to be doing as the turns wind down in this first battle. Yeah, so we got like the experience of our lifetimes here in terms of getting blasted from the artillery. And after that we kind of regrouped and then trying to move to take over at least some part of the town, so in the next battle we can have a bit better starting point than we had, that we don't have to cross into this ambush area. Another house goes down. That is the house where the machine gun was hiding in, and it's suppressed, and we can now move a bit. Yeah, it's crawling toward the church. And this gun is very interesting. It's trying to smoke us I guess it ran out of shots and now only has smoke shells. And it's smoking us pretty good. It's smoking us pretty well here. Yeah, we are chafing. Yeah, we are chafing basically. I think it's having an intended effect of stopping us midway and also blocking our view of these Germans now going, I don't know where they are going, but they're kind of scrambling on the open area. Unfortunately, the smoke is blocking some of the infantry's vision or line of sight to target these guys who are primed to be shot at. The next turn is basically more of the same, but trying to make sure that we at least knock out some of the units here, because I don't want them returning in the next battle. And especially the gun, that is kind of worrying because I know where the position is and I think we'll be able to do a good job against it. I don't want it to reset its position and go into some God knows where it can target our target and ambush our tanks. And finally the last troop moves into the Bocage, the machine gunner that was covering us from the back. Yeah, this gun is the gun. I need to take care of this gun, and I am yeah. So the artillery has taken care of it. I suppressed it using the tank's indirect fire, made it kind of on a crouch or something, and then the artillery miraculously found its way toward it. So that gun is knocked out. I think that's Pack 40. Yeah. A lot larger and more impressive looking than what we think it is right here in the graphics. Yeah, this guy is... I think this guy has like 9 lives or something, this Panzerschreck guy. I mean, he has Panzerschreck, he already lost one guy and he's carrying this heavy weapon, but he's able to escape shots from like 6 of our units, which translates to around 12 guys shooting at this guy running openly on the road, and we cannot kill him off. And the tank is joining the fray, but so I think the 105mm artillery has hurled its last shell, and then I think one of the last shells landed near the gun, knocking it off. So I guess that was very fortunate for us. Tanks are making its way, along with the infantry on top. I don't know exactly if the infantry got off the tank, would have been faster, maybe like running or even moving in the open space. Yeah, so we are engaging the Germans now coming out of that area. They're expecting us on the road, but now we are better positioned to fight them. And I think the tank can also target them. And it's, I mean, they're far away, so the Panzerschrecks and the anti-tank will not be able to reach us. It's around 200 meters or so. I don't know how that translates into yards or feet, but it's definitely far from where the tanks currently are. And here, yeah, I'm trying to target this Panzerschreck guy. The Panzerschreck guy that's running toward the church or something, but I don't know whether he's going to be... I don't know whether we'll be able to target him and knock him off. It's a miracle, I guess. I don't know. He deserves a medal, definitely. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I guess we are moving. That's why we're not shooting. Maybe we should have stopped a couple of units so that they have better aim against this Panzerschreck, which I really want to knock off because I don't want any anti-tank guys in that distress to be able to escape and then be redeployed in the next battle and you know, ambush our tanks. And you get all the trees behind saying Come-du-Mont. I mean, there's so many different areas where these guys can hide. Yeah, I was not able to finish this guy off, I think, which is very unfortunate. And now the 75mm artillery is starting up, targeting where the 105mm artillery left off. I should have targeted a bit toward the church, but you know, you know, it's a church, so I don't want to destroy it. Now I think I did actively target the church, but then the artillery itself is kind of evading it, yeah. And look at all the Germans in the church. They're taking up in the church because they think that they're gonna be safe. But they're shooting out of it. So, I mean, it's fair game now. Yeah, a lot of houses have been destroyed. A lot of unhappy French civilians. Unfortunately, yeah, maybe they all escaped. Hopefully they all escaped. Yeah, so we are targeting the church now with the tanks and artillery. I think the 105mm artillery still has a few shells left. Yeah, these guys now trying to push these guys out, and they're in a better position. They're I think higher ground. And this guy is also trying to make its way across that rough area towards Come-du-Mont, but I don't think they're going to make it. So let's go ahead and see whether we can inflict further damage on the Germans. Yeah, some mortars. I hear some surviving mortars firing its shot around. Machine gun is still there from where it was. Came back into the district building, found what it was looking for, and decided to just stay put and engage the Americans. And here we are, yeah, still moving, and I think the tanks are able to now shoot at the German infantry. Yeah, they're stopping. And these guys, and all the different German units now hiding in the church. Miraculously, the church is saving them from the blast. Yep. I guess in the next battle I take the church and see if it's going to provide that much protection against us. I think, you know, first German barrage against the church, I think it's going to be destroyed. Yeah, the German machine gunner in the ruins of building, which provides a pretty good cover. Provides a pretty good... Wow, that was pretty close. Yeah, now this guy is making its way, I think, toward the church once again. Yeah, so we eliminated some unit, made up of 10 soldiers. The Germans suffered some casualties too, but not as much as ours in the first few turns. Yeah, I think I lost around 20 to 30% of the group on the right, taking the road. That's horrendous. And they're all good troops as well because they're veterans and they are able to move quicker. So they moved into position a lot faster, only to be faced with the blast. And yeah, we got blasted pretty well, and it wasn't really pretty. But now we can claim a bit of Come-du-Mont for us. And here in the last turn is just trying to, you know, finish up, if you're lucky, some of these 2 people anti-tank teams. And there are 2 teams of anti-tank teams. So they're definitely waiting for us. They're definitely waiting for us, biding their time to try to destroy their armor. I believe the Germans did not have a lot of armor presence in this area, in northwestern France. They concentrated a lot of their armor around Caen. So, I mean, having this German tank will be a huge advantage for us. Although I believe in the later on, if Band of Brothers can be believed. Oh, this machine gun guy is destroyed. Band of Brothers can be believed, they bring some Stuk 3Gs or something to the battle. And I don't know whether this particular operation is going to cover the Battle of the Bloody Gulch. I think we're going to see some counter strikes with German armor. And saving up the Shermans will be a good idea for us. Although these veterans will not be able to... I mean, we cannot really replace the veteran infantry unit. And this damn blasted Panzerschreck guy getting shot at from multiple angles with different troops still be able to fight another day, I think. Yeah, he has like some luck. And this guy is now being shot at in the church. Yeah, that's probably where bulk of the defenders are hold up in. so they're being attacked. I think the tanks are now attacking it. Yeah, as you can see, the tanks are hurling its shells at them. From the craters alone, I think it was targeted from the air as well. Okay, so I destroyed one unit. I don't know if you could see it, but yeah, the tank have hurt that unit. So that was turn 20. And after action report tells us that, yeah, a lot of casualties, 58. Only 13 KIA, but I don't know whether any of the 58 casualties will come back in the next battle, which is going to be night battle with rain. Yeah, so low visibility, less effective fighting force, slower movement. Yeah, it's not really good for us, I think, as we are trying to move into St. Come-du-Mont, but at least we got a bit of the town under our deployment zone. And we got reinforcement here. Yeah, 2 additional tanks, one unfortunately caught right in the middle of Bocage. And some good men. Yeah, I kind of thought that it's going to be stuck for the rest of the battle, but I can move it, so no problems there. Yeah, so we have some veteran units still joining us with mortars. Very welcome sight. Yeah, so we have some tanks here, just as we left them. Yeah, and then the group that suffered the most, but now having a bit of a town under control, we hope to be ready to engage the Germans who are still there, remnants. Pretty good cover, so I imagine some Germans will be there in the town still, and we're going to be engaged right from the get-go in some close combat. And the map has expanded a bit. Didn't reveal Carentan yet, I think. Didn't reveal any of the body of water like river or canal, and the bridges that we have to capture. I think there will be some, the objective flags that we need to go over in order to capture it. But yeah, we still have some road ahead. A road probably very treacherous and being targeted by the German artillery and the guns and whatnot. And the Panzerschreck, that guy who survived. So we need to be very careful and think in the next battle as well, and send the infantry first and see what's happening. Not all of it, just a few detachments to act as scout. If you have any other ideas to engage the Germans in the next battle, please leave a comment so I try to follow your advice as much as possible. This has been first battle in Carentan operation. Hope you enjoyed watching. And until next time, in the second battle in this operation, please stay tuned.